Welcome back. It is the Flow Friday Sports Show here on Flow FM. We're in South Australia to talk South Australian Regional Netball, and we're talking about the Eastern Eyre and Great Flinders Netball competitions. And joining me on the line is our correspondent from that part of the world, Joe Franklin. Joe, great to have you with me. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Alison. You?
Going well, thank you. And unfortunately, a pause in regular competition this weekend with the association netball kicking off. But there's still all of last week's results to get through. So we'll have a good chat. Now, Joe, let's start with the Eastern Rangers side. They came up short against Kimber last weekend. So bring our listeners in on how this all went.
Kimber ended up winning that game. Pretty easily, really, 56-37. I thought it might have been a lot closer than that, but Kimber certainly were able to push away after quarter time. Up until quarter time, it was quite an even game, really. But then after that, Kimber really put their foot down and they started to really hassle around the Eastern Rangers girls. And I guess they are a little bit more settled, got a little bit more experience and a little bit more maturity as far as a side goes. And Maddie Maitland and Charlie Harris in defence for Kimber really are coming together very nicely. Maddie's just come back to Kimber and is been a big asset for them in goalkeeper. And Charlie is won a few association best and fairest over the time, so she certainly knows what it's all about. But they certainly got the better of young Nick Symes and Jess Breezy, the Eastern Rangers goalers. So I'm guessing that that's pretty much where the game was won. But for Eastern Rangers, young Ava Jenner at goal defence worked really hard all day and is really quite impressive for her. She's a young under 17 and it's her first crack in seniors. So to come up against Amber Schilling in goals is no mean feat, and to do a good job against them is really good for her. Look, they in the end, the Lily Nettle and Geordie McCullum battle through the centre court was probably one of the best ones for the day. Serena Shippard and Georgia Kent also had a bit of a good tussle, but in the end, Geordie and Saran were a little bit too strong through there. So, all in all, Kimber just too strong, and Eastern Rangers will certainly try to build on that and make sure that the next time they come up against Kimber that they get a lot closer than what they did.
Well, in the other game in Eastern Eyre Netball, we had an absolute thriller. Ports, they lost by just the one to Cow, 33-34. An agonising defeat for the home side there, Joe.
Yeah, it was. It was. However, being an ex-Cowgirl and having coached the Cal A grade, I was thinking, they got a one-goal win. But look, Ports have worked so hard in the off-season and in the pre-season. They certainly, they deserve a win. But then at the same token, so have Cow. They've spent a lot of time in the off-season trying to get their club up and going and keep it sustainable. So both clubs have done a lot of work and they both deserve to win here. Unfortunately, there was only one winner. Look, Cow were down by 10 goals heading into the last quarter, but Tracy Mills, their coach, made a couple of changes. She sort of shifted Emma Jordan into the defence circle, and Alana Jenke went to wing ding, and that just added the bit of grunt into their defence end that they needed, I think, to get some crucial turnovers. And then luckily their goalers were able to convert those turnovers with some quite accurate shooting. So, and unfortunately for Ports, I think their accuracy dropped off a little bit in the last quarter. So, Cal came away with a one-goal win in an extremely exciting game, and they're the sorts of games you want to have in the A-grade, Ellis.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we had a bye in, the team with the bye was CENUIC. I think I got that out there right. So probably need some glasses there, Joe. But
United.
Before we leave the division with the Association Netball happening this weekend, let's just unbundle this ladder. How do you see it right now? Kimber at the top and Ports at the bottom. So just give us your takeaways from how the ladder is currently placed going into a pause for the competition this weekend.
Oh, look, I think that Kimber have certainly set themselves as the side to beat. There's no question about that. They have really got off to a very good, strong start. I think that Central Eyre United and Eastern Rangers are probably relatively evenly matched next. I think that it'll be very interesting to see just what they settle down in the next few games. Eastern Rangers probably a bit more work to do than Central Eyre United. Central Eyre United have still got quite a few of their players from last season that they are working with, whereas Carmen's got a very, very new look side for Eastern Rangers, which is something that they're not really used to. They haven't really had to rebuild for a while. So best races to see between those two sides. Cal, I think, at this stage, slightly above Ports, but, having said that, one goal is nothing. And Cal were probably pretty close to the best side that they could field. So I can see that Cal and Ports at the bottom down there are going to have a pretty good tussle to make sure that they don't end up with a wooden spoon.
All right, well, before we do move on, just give us your quick sort of breakdown as to how you see the association netball going this weekend. We've already spoken to the Western Eyre United correspondent in Rihanna Freeman, so you'll be going up, the Association of Eastern Eyre will be going up against Western Eyre, so how do we see it all going?
Yeah, trip to Woodner. So a little bit of a hike for some of the girls. But look, they've actually, Eastern Eyre have come up with a really good A-grade side. Amber Shillings from Kimber will certainly hold down the goal shooting circle with Nick Symes. And Nick's got a bit of height there, so that'll be very, very useful. And then they've also got young Rani Tomney, who's only very young but very tall and really, really quite accurate. So they've got some really good options in the goal shooting circle. Strong through the centre court. Johnny McCullum's back and Lily Nettle and Saran Shippard, and all three of those have been in pretty good form. So I think that will be a really good contest through there. And Regan O'Brien and Shiley is a long-time association player, so there's no doubt that she will direct the defence end for Eastern Eyre. And look, I think they're in with a really good chance. Having said that, I do know that Western Eyre have come up with a really strong side, and they're pretty happy with it because the last couple of years they've struggled just a little bit for numbers, but they had good numbers turn up for trials and have come up with a really good side. So I think that this will be a really interesting game and a good lead up to the regional carnival on the 28th and to country champs, I think. So, I think they'll be looking forward to really putting it out there on the court and seeing how well they can do.
There we have it. Let's move on and we'll talk Great Flinders netball. And on the weekend we had Eyre United. They came up short against Lock, a handy win for the away side, but they had to work hard for it.
Yeah, they did. Look, Eyre United, I would think, would be pretty happy. I think that Petrina would be pretty happy with a 47-51. I actually thought that it might have been Lock might have won by a bit more than that. So well done to the Eyre United girls. So they're working really hard and they're trying to make sure that they're competitive in their last season as a club. And Lock would want to probably go away from that game, have a good look at their game and see where they might need to build a little bit more. Look, in the end, I think the ascendancy actually ebbed and flowed throughout the game as well. So a really interesting game there. And Tanya Habner for Lock got the best there, and the evergreen Sasha Stratford, great to see her still hanging in there and doing really, really well. She was the incentive player for Eyre United. So, but well done to Lock, but really well done to Eyre United. I just think that would have been a great game and that they would be pretty happy with getting that close to a very tall, strong Lock side.
United Yelena got nailed by Elliston, 63-32, the final score. So just unbundle this result for us, Jo.
Yeah, look, Elliston District's going along very, very well. Last year's premiers, and they're 4 from 4 so far this season. So they're looking the goods again, there's no doubt about that. And they had some great fluid ball movement in attack. They sort of have they've just got a bit of experience. They were able to put Rosie Romanich back into goals there when they took Emmy O'Brien down to the other end with Kelsey Hull. So that any time that they're missing somebody like the strength of Nikki Schubert, and then they were still able to come away with a win that big, it goes to show you what depth they've got and what experience they've got in that side. Look, the Eagles are a very young side, and when you've got young players like Hallie Paul, who she is straight out of under 15s down here in Port Lincoln for Waybacks, and gone up to play at Yolanda this year. And when you think about the fact that a 15-year-old has to come up against a Kelsey Hull, it's a pretty big task. And I think that they are working really hard. They would have been relatively happy, I would have thought, coming up against the Elliston District side that they did, to have scored 32 goals, because it's not a bad number of goals to put up against the opposition that they were up against. But, yeah, look, Elliston just too strong.
Another lopsided result with Tumby Bay being the beneficiaries of this one. 61 their final score over the Ramblers side, who managed just 37 on the scoreboard. So how did this one pan out, Joe?
Yeah, well, look, Tumby Bay again, 4 from 4. So they've had the perfect start to the season as well. And look, young Maisie Curtis, just a young goalie that's working in their A-grade side again. She was in there last year, but just getting more and more court time. And the more court time she's getting, the better she's doing. And she was really accurate in the first quarter. Marty Masson was doing really well as well. But the matchup with her on Lacey Murnane from Ramblers was a really tight, and I can just imagine a really tight, hard-fought contest through the centre. At quarter time, it was 14-8, so Tumby had already put out a little bit of a lead. But then in the second quarter, Tumby just really pulled away. They really put the foot down and were able to come away with a really good quarter there. They really worked really well. Ilka and Maisie were doing really, really well together in the goal circle. The centre court was getting on top. And for Ramblers, Kira Simons, she worked really hard all day. Ilka Stone is one of the premier goalies on Eyre Peninsula, and she had her time cut out, but she kept on working at it and was just really determined in there for Ramblers. And I think that Abby Darlitz as well has come back this season after babies, and is working really hard to get herself back into the game. And she actually came away with the incentive award for Ramblers, and young Maisie Curtis came away, got the incentive award for Tumby Bay. But Tumby are certainly showing that they are one of the two teams to beat, along with Elliston this season, and certainly 61 goals in any game in netball is a really big score, and they would be pretty happy with that. Ramblers are building a whole new look team. There's no question about that, and they will continue to work at that, as Ramblers always do. And they're putting, together some new defence combinations, and they've got Michaela Richardson back in to work into new goaler combinations. So they'll only get better, but so will Tumby Bay.
Cummins Capini with the bye. We'll have to leave it there. Joe Franklin, great work, and we'll speak to you again next week. Enjoy all the netball this weekend.
No worries. Thanks, Ella.